Real quick, just stepping in to remind everyone that I have a movie channel. Check out my movie channel if you want. It's Jackson Kruger Movies. The link is in the description below, so if you're tired of just hearing my bad sports takes and want to also hear some bad movie takes, make sure you check that out. Again, link is in the description below. All right, top 10 list. We're going with the top 10 running backs. Interesting year for running backs. I think there's a lot of guys who maybe wouldn't have made the list in years past who were on here. Feels like some of the top guys have kind of fallen off a little bit, but I think there's still 10 guys who are worthy of being on the top 10 list. And so I think that it's still plenty of good running backs in the league. Let's just get into it. Number 10 is Bijan Robinson. I'm still putting him on the list. I think some fans of this channel might be surprised I did put him on the list and didn't leave him off of it. I think people who maybe aren't too familiar with my takes on running backs might be surprised. He's only 10 and should be higher. But the thing about Bijan is the highlights were very much there last year, and I think that's kind of what gets people excited. Box score numbers were good. We're certainly good and better than some guys who I have higher up on the list. But I think watching the film, you do see that there isn't a ton of consistency yet in his game. However, I'm putting him on the list and kind of banking the consistency is going to get there with more reps in the NFL. He was PFF's 38th graded running back last year, and if you know how that stat works, it tends to be a batting average stat, so I think the explosives would mean he's better than that, and I think that, I'm going to expect the consistency to get a little better as well, so while this is maybe a bit hot takey, it's one I stand by, although I wonder how the comments will feel about it, but hey, I don't make my list just to try and appease the comments. In fact, I kind of accept the fact that the comments are going to disagree with a lot of what I say, but that's part of the fun, so let's move on to number 9. We're actually sticking with the Atlanta Falcons, and Tyler Allgeier is my pick. Listen, without a doubt, I could certainly save myself a lot of criticism by simply just flipping to these two guys, but that's not what I do here. I give my honest opinions, even if it means I'm going to get more criticism. Here's why I think Tyler Allgeier is there. Again, it's a consistency thing. I think he has consistently done just a really good job of making the right play, making the correct read. He was PFF's 7th highest graded running back last year. So, again, PFF grades aren't everything. They're not. But he's, was 5th the year before. So consistency is really good. Number 8, I did go Breece Hall, and you could talk me out of this a little bit if you wanted to, in the sense that, the injury history is what it is. But, man, when this guy was on the field last year, he was awesome. He was legitimately one of the best running backs in football, I thought. He is really good. So it's definitely I'm banking on upside. I'm banking on what he brings to the table. There is a small sample size with Hall. There just is, and that's concerning. But there's so much good with him. I still think he deserves a spot on the list. And then next on my list is kind of a similar type thing of Kyren Williams. He is someone who definitely doesn't have a ton of playing time, just because kind of a one-year wonder last year. But he's someone I actually liked a bit coming out of college. In my Orlando Ostriches video, I drafted him in my draft. I think there's value there. And then once he got a real playing time, I thought he was great last year. He was PFF's 3rd highest rated rusher just last season and 10th highest rated running back overall. So I think there's a lot of real value in Kyren Williams. I am banking on him being successful. That's why I have him at number 7. Number 6, I'm going with a guy who just recently changed teams, Saquon Barkley of the Philadelphia Eagles now. That feels weird to say. Listen, when Saquon Barkley is healthy and playing at his best, there's few better than him. The issue is that just isn't always a thing that happens. I mean, that we know the injury history. It is what it is. On top of it, I think he's not coming off of his best season last year. Again, I'll keep throwing PFF grades out there, just as another stat to use. 35th in PFF grades last season. But again, the upside is still there. I can't drop him too low. I am usually kind of the last person to admit when a player is washed, but I don't think he's washed. I think that he's still a good player, but have to dock him a couple of spots because of that. Number 5, I'm going James Conner, who I think kind of underrated, was really good last year, and he's had really good years before too. Usually he's been just a consistently good, not great guy. He was great last year. He was legitimately one of the best running backs in football. PFF's fourth highest graded running back in football. And given how much of the Cardinals offense he was at times before Kyler got there, like what he was able to do was really impressive, I thought. So again, if this is surprising to see him this high, watch some tape of his. I'm telling you, he was really good. Number 4, I still went with Jonathan Taylor. Maybe it's just I can't quite get that 2021 tape out of my brain, because obviously he was I believe he got I don't believe he actually got MVP votes that year, but that was back when they only do first place votes is all of it, and I think he was in the conversation, although he didn't end up getting any votes, but he was in the conversation, like legitimately in the conversation, not just a guy people threw out there. 2 years ago got hurt, last year got hurt. That's why he's not higher. And I thought that last year when he came back, so he was PFF's 25th graded running back, but I thought he showed the flashes of being 2021 Jonathan Taylor. The question is just, can he get back there? So I can't put him in that elite tier, but out of the guys who I don't have in the elite tier, he is probably the one I think is most likely to get in that elite tier next year, so that's why he's at 4. Number 3, I'm still going Nick Chubb. Again, coming off of an injury, that's scary. You don't like that, but I think there's been years in the past where I put him at running back 1. I feel like he's someone who never gets the credit he deserves. He's really dominant and does things that basically no other running back does. So I think he's really good. It's just due to the injury, I kind of have to dock him a couple of spots. I decided to still go Derrick Henry at number 2. I think Derrick Henry's, again, not coming off of his best year and, did get banged up last season. That's also a thing worth mentioning. But even his not best year is still dominant, basically. So I still feel like even if he's not what he once was, he used to be number 1 with a bullet, a clear step ahead of whoever's next to him. Now it's he's debatably the best in the league, which is why he's fallen off, so to speak. I still think he's really good. Interested in how he's going to play in Baltimore, but again, PFF has him as the 3rd highest graded running back in football for what it's worth. So yeah, number 2 on my list. And number 1 is actually PFF's 2nd highest graded running back. Devon Achane, in a limited sample size, was number 1, but McCaffrey at number 2 kind of feels like it goes without saying he should be McCaffrey at number 1 on my list. Kind of feels obvious. I mean, is such a big part of that 49ers team, and we've seen him be successful with bad offensive lines, so it's not like you can just say he's a product of that scheme. The scheme just is what kind of unleashes him, really, and he stayed healthy recently. So he had kind of the injury bug early on, but has stayed pretty healthy in San Francisco. Hopefully that continues. So yeah, to me, he's the best running back in football. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.